Happy you are here. We are joined, as always, by Greg Engert, beer director for the neighborhood restaurant group of Food and Wine Sommelier of the Year. The group includes Rustico, 2 locations, Alexandria and Ballston, also GBD in DuPont Circle. Greg, it is always good to see you.
Good to see you too.
Before we start, if we're a little darker than usual, which is good, so you can't see my face as well, it's because it's 1,000 degrees in D.C. on this day that we're taping, and the blinds here at Church Key, if you've been here, are down to
mercifully down.
Keep us from, just pouring
sweat,
the moisture out of our pores. Craig, what is on tap this week?
This is a beer that should help with that. So this is from Flying Dog, one of our locals out in Frederick, Maryland, and this is called Dead Rise. It is a beer that's not only great in hot weather, but it is a hot beer, as in if you see some, buy some, because they are having huge problems keeping up with the demand of this beer. I think they knew it was going to be pretty great and sales are going to be high, but they didn't anticipate this. So luckily for us, the fine folks, our friends at Flying Dog, have upped production to keep up with demand. But otherwise, it is it's fantastic and for good reason. So it's called Dead Rise. You'll see right on the label. It's called Old Bay Summer Ale. So we're going to see it right through the summer, and it is really tasty beer.
Ah, a little hint of.
It's just a hint.
Smells like a Bloody Mary with the Old Bay around the rim.
And the lemony notes are great. But this is it's got hop character to it, you know. Really nicely balanced, 5.6% alcohol. It's kind of a blonde ale base, I'd imagine, although they're not really forthcoming about too many of the details on the beer. It's become a little bit secretive because it's it's fantastic, really balanced. And the biggest thing to remember about this is, like, don't be turned off if you think you just like Old Bay or crabs, like
Brennan
here.
Yeah, don't judge the book by its cover.
Yeah.
I had to follow that maxim myself with this.
As with any great
good
craft beer, it's not going to be dominated by one flavor or one ingredient. So the Old Bay here is gently integrated. You get a touch of it in the nose, but there's also hop character in the nose. It's quite lemony, almost Cascade-like, crisp and refreshing, but not sweet at all. It has a drying, slight bitter finish to it. More Old Bay comes back in the finish, and really great. You know, this beer is kind of an offshoot of a beer they brewed last year, which was called Old Bay Goza, which they took a sour wheat beer style, the Goza, that typically utilizes coriander, and they added some Old Bay. And I think in that beer, while delicious, they learned some great lessons about how to use Old Bay and which style is going to be appropriate for it, and that's where this comes from.
And it must be. Well, I mean, you go through the testing batch process, but getting just the right amount, because obviously, I'm sure you put in a capful too much, and it just goes crazy. Strong.
Yeah, so I think that they definitely did their pilot research on this, and what came out is something that's fantastic, and something I think that even if you just like crisp, refreshing, mildly hopped beers, you're going to like this, Old Bay notwithstanding.
Now, let's see. What? I just can't guess. I'm just drawing a total blank. What would you pair this with?
Yeah. So, well, I mean, obviously, Maryland blue crabs are going to go phenomenally with this, and not just from the Old Bay, but that lemony note I talked about. It's crisp, it's refreshing. Serve it really cold. It's going to be amazing. And the other thing about this is that all the proceeds from Dead Rise are going to True Blue, which is an amazing foundation in the Chesapeake area that is supporting the Chesapeake, Maryland blue crab industry, making sure that people are taken care of, the industry thrives, that you can see even designations on crab cakes and other things like that say if it's True Blue, it's coming from the Chesapeake and not imported from Venezuela or something like that. So that's really cool. Obviously, yes, crabs are going to be great, but then you can do shrimp, you can do anything that's like anything that you might shrimp. Put Old Bay on. So I love Old Bay on chicken wings. So I mean, this would be fantastic. That corn on the cob, you name it, it's gonna be good.
Now, I am not a big crab fan. I will eat crab dip sometimes. I don't hate crab. I just don't really love crab. And people say you're from Seattle and you don't like crab. How is that possible? But what's been fun living here is when people from Seattle come out here and have like a soft shell
Yeah.
their eyes just get huge
Yeah,
and they love it.
yeah.
And then when people I've met here go back to Seattle and see a Dungeness crab in all of its huge glory,
Yeah.
their eyes get huge
Yeah,
and
yeah.
they love it. So
There's lots of different kinds of crab out there, but yeah, I mean, and this beer is going to go great with all of them as well.
all right, always something good from Flying Dog. Greg, thank you as always.
Thank you.
Everyone, please always do drink responsibly and be sure to bring your thirst next time for another Beer of the Week.